I wanted to spend a few minutes talking through this resource that I contributed to called Money Minded. It is to develop financial literacy skills, and it was developed by a bank, and I certainly wasn't the only learning designer on it. In fact, I was not the lead learning designer. I just made a contribution to the project, but this was developed in 2005, so unfortunately I only have access to the printed copy, which is about a 10 centimetre thick folder with lots and lots of lessons. And significantly, this is a facilitator guide, and this was when I worked for O10, which was part of TAFE. So we had a collaboration with the bank and with the funding body, which was a non-profit, to develop the financial literacy skills in the community. So this is our first page. This is a scan. You can see that there's some tabs in there, and I'll just walk through. This is a really good example, actually, of what a learning designer does, because I'm not a financial planner, I'm not a financial expert. We had those people on our committee, as well as social workers and a few other stakeholders. So here we've got the front page, which is nice illustration, and then we've got a table of contents. So obviously you can see the different topics. These were cardboard. You can see the actual the holes where they went into the folder. So we've got planning and budgeting, and within that we have goals, saving and spending, money planning, getting started, understanding paperwork. So all of these were negotiated and planned. So we get a bit more detail on the right-hand side, where within planning and budgeting, and say within goals, we have setting goals, needs versus wants. So we've allocated that piece of learning as taking up 2 hours. So this was designed to be, you could mix and match. It wasn't expected that any one participant or any one facilitator would be delivering the program from beginning to end. Also, some of our facilitators were not trained in, they're not teachers as such, they're social workers that are delivering a course. And so we had to design the facilitator guide with that in mind. So I won't go into all the detail. You can see there's other topics with other subtopics and allocation of time, dealing with debt. So we're going to look at this first one, which is planning and budgeting. And again, we've got consistent branding of the program, and we're into planning and budgeting. Now, if you look up at the right-hand side, you can see this is a facilitator page. And so these are kind of teach the teacher, train the trainer type instructions. So we've got an overview. Significantly, we have learning outcomes, such as consider their attitude to money, calculate their income. So all of that was negotiated over many, many months with our subject matter experts. Then we have facilitator information, a little bit of background as to maybe to prepare for the experience, a little bit of pre-reading, materials that they're going to need, things like name tags, pens, note paper, handouts. And we've got 10 handouts. Now those handouts are in the back of this PDF, and then we pretty much, what you're seeing on the right-hand side is the experience in the workshop. So we've allocated 20 minutes to what we're calling introduction, setting goals. So within that, what they're going to need, first of all, handout number 1, words and terms, and then there's related workshops. So this might assist in planning for a day, just so they have a half-day training session. They might bundle other sessions within this one. So within setting goals, brainstorm why it's important to set a goal, ask participants what type of goals they currently have. We've got a little acronym, SMART, to be specific, measurable. So again, all of these were negotiated with our subject matter experts, and we, as learning designers, we helped to structure that information and put it into a meaningful sequence. And because this is a facilitator guide, that meaningful sequence is then documented so that somebody could pick it up and, with not too much trouble, be able to run the workshop. So I'll just keep reading. Ask participants to rewrite the vague goal and then into a SMART goal. So this is getting into the process. So we've got a framework that we're working within, but it's a soft. It's not overstated here. Then that's 20 minutes covered. Next 15 minutes, spending leaks. So we won't go into Janice and Anna's case studies, but I think you get the idea. We also worked with a designer to come up with this table and the branding at the top, page numbers, copyright notice down the bottom. So we're working our way through the workshop, more handouts, more discussions, and then we've got a summary at the end. And then we've got optional next steps. Sometimes some learners are up for more information or more activities. Other times we might like to keep it lean. So we designed this resource so that it was flexible, basically, because in this sort of territory, there's lots of correct answers, lots of perspectives. So here are the handouts. So you can see at the top there, we've got participant. So they're just a little clue. These are a handout. They're the words and terms that we mentioned. We could have squashed these into one page, but the whole idea of them having them as separate handouts was to keep them so that maybe you're not going to use all the handouts. For example, there's some room for some notes. There's poor Janice's story about what she's spending her money on. Spending leaks. I'll just skip through these because they're linked obviously to the activities. So the students or the participants are creating a document, a very specific document of their own situation, so that that's consistent with some of the principles of adult learning that I won't go into right now. Here's a little quiz just about credit cards are hard to get, expensive, convenient. There's lots of different reasons, or not reasons, there's lots of different ways that the participant and the facilitator might use those. So if the participant answers the question, great if you can afford to pay it each month. If that's their attitude, that might lead to a more meaningful, detailed discussion, for example. Here's some other spending diary, some other tools, that sort of thing. And then finally, here's a workshop summary. So if you don't have a lot of time, maybe the participants are just talked through some of these elements. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea as to how a facilitator guide is constructed. Notice that I haven't been hijacked by all the content. It's only content after all. In this case, it's financial literacy. This content could have been the use of lasers within scientific research, or a whole range of different things. So again, it emphasizes the role of a learning designer in that they're structuring information. They're often collaborating with subject matter experts to get a resource that is suitable for a particular audience. So the audience for this resource is a facilitator guide. Thank you.